Many years ago, back in 2019, I would make a video on this Sony sports Walkman, the WM-AF59, but today I am going to be making another review. This is the glamorous WM-SXF. Great name, Sony. You're immediately making me struggle here. This is the SXF10. Let's get started. So yes, this is in fact my second ever Sony Sports Walkman, and this is from 1991. I bought this for 30 bucks at a thrift shop that was nearby me at Weirs Beach. So this was a bit of a find since I've never usually found Sony Walkmans at thrift stores. Most of the time they're not easy to find anymore because these are becoming more collectible every day. This does work. It actually does work. You can throw a tape in there and it does in fact work. So it doesn't really clip on the same way that my other one does. Let's get into a couple of things before I go and actually talk about the actual playback of this device. So this is from 1991. The one that I showed previously, the Sony WM-AF59, is from 1989, but this one's from 91, so simply enough. We first got off the front, which also has radio playback here, and I think one of the things which I do not like about this player is just the color of the device. Which, the yellow is something which I really do enjoy on, of course it's on the wrong way around. I do really enjoy with this guy. Even the inside is yellow. Like you can see it's yellow on the inside. It's got a little bit of gray and a little bit of black. And even then the buttons themselves are actually indicated on the side, as you can see. You got the playback buttons actually indicated. A Walkman badge right here, another Walkman badge on the front. And the color, it's just entirely yellow. You can see there's a little bit of yellow, and also it's just, well, it's just gray. There's yellow here, there's yellow here, but there's nothing really interesting about this that's really, it's mostly just gray. And another thing which I do not like about this guy against this guy, which, great, this has just become a comparison. I don't like how small the window is here. Like, you can barely see the tape. On this guy, which is from 2 years before, you can see the tape pretty well. And you could even see, like, you could see how much more tape you have. If I were to throw this tape into this guy, I mean, you can see the tapes in here, and you can barely tell it's even in there. See? I hate how small that window is. Getting the actual comparison away, let's actually talk about the actual, like, feature set, which you've got the radio, you got the tape playback, volume actually I would have to take this off too, which that's another thing which I kind of don't like about it, but in the same sense it's okay. You got the bell clip which goes here, which is just this entire thing right here. You got tuning, you got volume right here. As you can see, you got the radio right there, so it's just basically as analog as it can get for AM and FM. You got the function, which you got tape, AM, and FM. You also have the volume limiter, which is a nice little feature, but I don't use that very often. You've got the actual buttons here. You got a light to indicate it's working. Headphone jack, which is covered up by this little rubber guy, which also is featured on my other Walkman, and this one hasn't broke either. You got buttons here, which you got the playback button, you got the stop button. There's no auto reverse here, which disadvantage for 2-year difference. You've got the speed control for the tape, and if you open it, you've got the actual player in itself, which if you were to play it, you got the actual tape right here. But then you also have a few things down here, which is indicated right here. You've got you got your normal and metal tapes, but then you also got DX and local, which means if you're wanting to listen to a radio station that's nearby, you change it from DX to local, you get the frequencies better. But now on to the actual thing that is probably the most important thing, which also another thing about this guy, which most Sony sports Walkmans have, is a rubberized coating for when the actual tape closes and this guy clips on, so no water can get into it, which is nice. It's a nice little water resistant guy. But I know what everybody's waiting for, the demonstration, which is heavily, unlike my other Sony Sports Walkman, which I couldn't demonstrate because I didn't have any cassette tapes to demonstrate with, I actually have a tape to demonstrate this little guy in. Ta-da! Scarlet Fire. You can see it right here. And I recorded Scarlet Fire on the entire tape. This is just a Type 1 tape, so nothing too special. I do want to say one thing before demonstrating this guy is that this is just running off of basically everything original. So basically, none of the belts have been replaced. It still works, which is good, but it's kind of weak. Alright, I'm going to demonstrate using my Panasonic speakers for this. So I'm going to plug this into the headphone jack. Ooh, God, I feel like that something just broke on the fucking Walkman, but hang on. Let's find out. Alright, here we go. I'm going to open this up just so you guys can see it's working. Oh. Okay, that's pretty bad. Sorry, I'm also really close to the speaker. I'm like right behind the camera. But yeah. And I will prove that this tape isn't faulty either, because I got the tape right here. So you can tell the tape is recorded properly. I used a digital source to record the actual song. So it gets so much worse if I shake it around, so. And just for the sake of the reviewers, I'm going to use another tape that came from a couple of years ago that actually was recorded also by a digital source using a copyrighted song, so. Okay, one thing which I will say is that the belts will definitely need to be replaced, but I'm also going to compare this with another Walkman that I know is completely refurbished. I'm about to knock over my camera. This guy, which I'm gonna make a video on this one later on, probably within these next couple of weeks. But just to prove that this is a working example, I'm gonna use the same Scarlet Fire tape here. Watch it. It definitely sounds a lot more stable, and then if I use this tape, I'm just gonna immediately tell you that this guy, even though it probably is a good cassette player, it definitely needs to have its belts replaced, which, I mean, it doesn't sound that bad. It doesn't sound bad, that's the thing. But it isn't like the best player that you can absolutely choose out of. I mean, there's better ones that you can choose. I mean, you got this guy, which, as you can see, has like the, this does have, I believe it, like noise reduction on it. I don't think this does. I don't entirely think this one does, but I mean, it doesn't sound that bad. It sounds decent, but it just needs to be its belts replaced. I mean, it's in decent condition. I mean, it's got everything with it. It works. So it's clear that this guy is just, it's just old and it's just running on loose. Like, I mean, it's not bad at all, but I would say, out of all things though, I do say that this guy definitely is decent, but again, the belts do need to be replaced. And I'm willing to bet that this guy actually would be great as a portable cassette player nowadays. I mean, it would probably be like a decent little guy. Design-wise, this is definitely one of the weaker ones. I mean, it's definitely like one of the worst ones that I've seen. Like, there's barely any yellow on this. There's barely any yellow. This guy, on the other hand, which the yellow was a massive standpoint for portable, like, Sony Walkmans, especially the sports models, this is entirely yellow. It's entirely yellow. Besides this little bit right here and the actual guy to cramp the actual guy in there. There's a little bit of rattling in there, but this guy has a bunch of yellow in it. This guy barely has any, which I consider a bit of a downside. And then also the window is like small. It's so small. It's so small that you could barely even see the tape in there when there's so much more that you could actually do for this little guy right here. Like, I'm honestly gonna give this guy a little less of a rating of just, it's okay. I mean, I would probably use this, but I don't like the fact that it's just almost entirely gray instead of yellow. I'd rather use this guy, and if I could, I would love to repair this guy to get it working again. So, I would say, good cassette player, but just, it's not my cup of tea. Not this one, anyway. So I'm gonna say thank you guys so much for watching this little review of this portable cassette player of the Sony Sports Walkman. I also don't like that little sports font right there. I think the one on here is a little better. It looks a lot better, just in my opinion anyway. Comment, like, and subscribe. I hope you guys enjoyed this review on this guy. I'll see you guys later when I talk about Tomorrowland. I've been saying that so much more often, but I need to get to it. Bye!